Hello, this is Edith Newmeyer, and I am the author of the book, The Mystery of Adam. This is my 14th video, and I have introduced my book quite a lot now, and still I need to go back to my basic belief. It's not a belief, it's a basic claim that the first human being is not a man. I'm still so amazed to find so many, not just people, the common people, but Bible scholars who either are still ignorant about the fact that the first human being was not a man, or just want to refuse. I guess they're in denial. They want to just be in denial about this fact. Even when you address it, they come up with all kinds of excuses. And none of those excuses is valuable. Now, the worst part is that this even happens with egalitarian Bible scholars. Egalitarian Bible scholars who would want, finally, these endless debates to end. Because that's exactly what we have. We have endless debates about things that shouldn't be discussed. Why? Because if we finally realize and open our eyes to the fact that the first human being was not a man, but male and female in one, we cannot continue the debate on headship. That debate will be out of the window. Now, I know that this debate about headship is really based on the belief that the first human being was created a man. I mean, it is based on that. Why? Because people continue the lies and say, well, he was created first, so God must want him in charge. Again, is that an assumption? Yeah. There is nowhere that it says, even if you believe the first human being was a man, there's nowhere that, to believe that the first human being was in charge. Well, then again, you can continue. Well, God made a helper for the first human being. Well, if he made a helper, just a helper, well, that helper is definitely not equal. Even though when we translate the word helper with the correct word, it becomes extremely obvious that the helper was an equal human being, not a subordinate human being. Somebody that was just an assistant. Well, helper is not an assistant. Helper can be somebody, who is equal in status. However, in our culture, helper always has this kind of demeaning or subordinate kind of place. So maybe we need to just look at those incorrect words and translate them with better words. But no, our Bible scholars even refuse to do that. When we know these words were translated falsely, they're still not being changed. Look, for instance, the word rib. Now we know today, it's very obvious, we know that the translation of the Hebrew word selah in the original text is not rib, it's side. But no, we continue to translate the word rib selah with rib, and continue to make people believe that the woman was only created from the rib. Now later when we hear that God took flesh and bone from the first human being, and we still continue to believe it was a rib, just a simple rib. Now how in the world do you think God's going to form a woman out of a rib? No, you know what? He had to transform the rib into something. He had to multiply it. He had to change DNA. What else? He had to make sure there's more material because you cannot form a female out of a rib from Adam if Adam was a man even. Okay? It's impossible. And you know, people, they just refuse to think. They just refuse to think. And I said, even egalitarian Bible scholars, they refuse to think. Why? I don't know it. I want to know why. I want to know why even egalitarian Bible scholars are refusing to come up with the truth. I don't know it. Well, it could be only one way, is that Satan is working overtime. Because, of course, Satan put in place this lie that the first human being was a man. There is no place in the first creation account that indicates that the first human being was a man. None. None whatsoever. The only way we know that it was a man, or the only way we can believe it was a man, is because it's tradition. Because traditionally we were brainwashed, indoctrinated to believe it was a man. There's no other way about it. Now, when people put their thinking cap on, there is no way that anybody can believe that that first human being was a man. None. None whatsoever. I have already said in the other videos that Adam is a incorrect translation. In the first creation account, when the Bible uses, when the writer of the Bible uses the word Adam or man, it all is translated from the Hebrew word ha-adam. And that word ha-adam means human being. It is not the name of the first man. Ha-adam is the name God gave to both the man and the woman. Okay, there's no doubt in my mind. God said, I'm going to create them male and female. I'm going to create the man and I'm going to make them male and female. So the first human being was male and female in one. And the distinct form of the man and the woman did not come into existence until after God took the side from the first human being and formed the woman. Before he formed the woman, he closed the side, and the man was formed. That's the first time the word man as a male human being, that's the first time called ish, came up. So that's the first time that human being was called a man. When he took the whole side from that first human being. Now, people should have, I mean, I don't know, it doesn't take a biologist to realize that when you create a woman, you cannot use a man's ingredients. You have to use female ingredients. And thus, the female ingredients must have had been existent in the first human being. No doubt in my mind. Had to be there. So yeah, it just makes me really, really upset when people just want to refuse to look at it. You know, I understand when people say, well, I don't know, I've never done the study. So I don't know, I have to do the study and then get back with you. But making excuses is absolutely not acceptable for me. Making excuses is not acceptable. I am so sorry. But it makes me more angry at this point. When I started with my book about 18 years ago, and I did the research, and God really just opened my eyes and showed me clearly, even though I should have seen it sooner, but I grew up in Germany, and in the German Bible, the word Adam was actually translated with the word human being. And so I should have known, really, but I was so indoctrinated myself that I didn't see it. And I was really confused at the beginning. I'm thinking, oh my goodness, that can't be. That's not right. And really, I didn't want to talk about much about this subject. And my first book was published, I think, 14 years ago. And since then, I've been waiting for other scholars to come out and speak about this subject. And they don't. They don't. It is just amazing. That should be something revolutionary. People should be speaking about this in every egalitarian circle. It should be revolutionary in any egalitarian group. But it isn't. Now, if it would be, we would stop a lot of endless debates, about headship. Because headship is really built on that false belief that that first human being was a man. Because people continue to say, oh, well, he was created first, so God put him in charge. Or even, oh, he was created first, so God gave him the instructions. Or, oh, he created Eve as a helper, and so that's just a subordinate anyways, like an assistant. Of course, there are many words that were translated very falsely in the original text. I mean, into the English Bible. Like, for instance, helper, rib, Adam. These are all false translations that created this false interpretation of Genesis, the first creation account. And I understand why people still hold on to it, because I had a hard time getting out of it. It also must be pretty embarrassing for people that call themselves Bible scholars to realize, wait a minute, what have I believed all this time? I haven't done the study. And why didn't I realize that all this was a lie? So yeah, when we finally get to that point where we do accept the fact that the first human being was a man and a woman, not a man and a woman, but male and female at the same time. Because like I said, the distinct form of a man and a woman did not even come into existence until after the split of the human being. But when we finally realize that, most of these endless stupid debates that we're having can be just finished. We don't have to continue debating all this stuff about men being in charge or men being in leadership, because it is stupid. It is so false. And I still can't believe why people are even holding on to this stuff. So anyways, I had to really talk about this, and I may just talk about this many, many more times, because it is so important. Bible scholars, theologian, whatever you want to call yourself, wake up and finish up this endless babbling about women not being equal to men. It is just beyond my understanding why even egalitarian are not waking up and are not telling the truth about this. I want to know, you know what? If you think I am wrong, then prove it to me. Prove it to me. Show it to me. Show it to me where in the first creation account you can find the male pronoun. Show it to me. Now, I'm not saying in the English, because in the English, they translated with, of course, male pronouns, but not in the original text. So please, I'll challenge me. Challenge me if you think I'm not right, because I want to know.